Hey people, so we just barely got done trying to digest the notion that we can time travel into the future in One Piece, and you look up at the sky, and if you're like most fans, you're probably like, oh well, it looks like I'm gonna need a new pair of pants. Welcome to my review of Chapter 921 for One Piece. We have Zoro Juro and Luffy Taro in the cover page there for Shonen Jump, as well as Kaido in the background, and a very small advertisement for Boruto. But what's cool about this page, this cover, is that we get the color scheme for the Nidai Kitetsu, which is the sword that Luffy is holding, and it's actually crossing the Sandai Kitetsu, which is being held by Zoro. A very minor detail that I noticed here is that the Nidai Kitetsu, which is being held by Luffy, has a blue handle, whereas the Sandai Kitetsu being held by Zoro has a red handle. But the hilt, the design of it, is actually very, very similar, because they're both part of the Kitetsu family. Then we get this female empowerment color spread. I think it's funny how Big Mom is just like, ha! It's kind of weird that she's there, but it's also kind of cool. I also really appreciate Luffy's arm just kind of stretching to grab his hat. It's almost as if he's saying, I'll just grab my straw hat and be out of your way so that you can have this photo shoot for yourselves. And another thing that I noticed is, I don't know if this was an intentional pattern, but the three girls in the middle seem to be referencing something of the Shichibukai. For example, Boa Hancock has Crocodile's jacket. Nami, who's in the front and center of this thing, has like Doflamingo's feather boa, or at least, that's what I thought of when I saw her. And then Robin has the shirt pattern that Gecko Moria used to have for his pants. So she kind of has like that color scheme almost. So it's Moria, Doflamingo, and Crocodile. Also Vivi is kind of wearing Jinbei colors. So I don't know if it's supposed to be an intentional reference to the Shichibukai, especially because there's 7 of them lined up. Actually 8 if you count Shirahoshi in the background. 9 if you count Chopper. I like how his shirt says, support girls. It's almost as if like Oda has been watching the news or something. Crazy idea. Maybe you can start by giving them 1v1s every once in a while post-time skip, huh? We get reminded that the final battle of Wano will be taking place in Onigashima Island, which I think is also kind of Oda's way of sort of removing the fights, or the fight, from civilians, so that there's not a whole lot of casualties, because there's just going to be so many crazy things going on. So it's safer if the starving civilians stay behind, and the fight actually takes place outside of the normal perimeters of Wano. That being said, Okiku also says that the Shogun is going to go there for the Fire Festival, and that they're just going to have a feast, a giant banquet. So while everybody else outside of the capital is starving, the political rulers, the higher end people, are going to be stuffing their faces. We find out through a humorous Sanji moment that Kinemon and Otsuru are married. So they're actually like a couple. And it kind of got me thinking about Otsuru and Kinemon's age difference, because if Otsuru didn't time jump along with Kinemon, then that means that she literally lived 20 years. So if she was younger, I guess it depends how young she was when the time jump took place. But now she's 20 years older than that, and I don't know. I just don't know what the age difference is here, but whatever. We also have Luffy, for the second time, legitimizing Okiku's strength by him saying that she's actually pretty strong. This is not the first time, it's not an offhand comment, this is the second time he said that, so it's actually, I think, it'll pay off eventually. Something is going to come off of this, and we're going to get an Okiku feat. Then Kinemon starts talking about these cards that he wants to pass out to people, to allies, as instructions, so that they know when the time of the attack, when the attack is going to take place. And it's a couple of birds, like 2 fire cranes or whatever, a moon, and then a viper at the bottom. But if you actually look at the symbols together, to me, it just kind of looks like Luffy's face when he's in Gear 4th. It's like, I feel like that's going to be like a representation of Luffy's face, and people are going to identify him as the guy on the card. Like Kinemon even says that the card is the representation of the will of the rebellion, so what better face than Luffy's? Also, I think it's hilarious how Minatomo, who was initially just supposed to be a gag character, it turns out that he actually constructed Kaido's lair, and that's why Frankie decided to start working under him so that he could get more info on it. So Usopp has probably been busy passing out flyers to people in the capital. I still say that Robin is after a red poneglyph that's in the castle, but she's also gathering intel from Orochi so that they can execute the plan better, or just, be able to coordinate the invasion better. And then Zoro, according to Luffy, hasn't been very helpful, which I think is funny because back in Zou, when Luffy left Zou to go to Whole Cake Island, Zoro did shout at him, I'll make sure to round up the samurai of Wano. And so far, he hasn't done it. So I'm guessing that Zoro, the reason why Oda decided to separate him, maybe one of the reasons for that is that he's going to potentially run into at least one of the 3 samurai that Kinemon mentioned that they need to gather in this chapter. So I'm betting on Zoro being able to bump into at least one of these guys for sure. Then we get the instructions for the rest of the Straw Hats, and Kinemon starts off by telling Brook that his ability will be very useful in securing the food in the capital. And so what I'm guessing he's going to have Brook do is have him pretend to be a ghost, all right? Maybe pretend to haunt some people, some rich people in the capital, and ask for food as offering so that he doesn't haunt them. And so people will be offering him a lot of food and they'll put it in the same place, and that way they will secure the food that they need. I think this actually ends up being further supported by the costume that Brook gets in this chapter, where we see arrows piercing through him, apparently. So I think he's going to be pretending to be dead, even though he's technically dead already. You know what I mean. Skull joke. Meanwhile, Sanji's going to be cooking, because where there's food, there's people, so he can scout out for allies there. And then Nami is going to be pretending to be a ninja. And this is actually a reference to something that happened back in Punk Hazard, where Kinemon saw her use her climb attack or her weather abilities, and he kind of made the connection that she kind of was doing ninjutsu. And she kind of went along with it for a little bit, pretending to do some Naruto hand seals and stuff. And then Carrot and Chopper are going to go to where Inuarashi is, because as I've said before, I think that Chopper is going to learn how to use Sulang form. It'll be very useful once the full moon hits during the Fire Festival. That being said, we also get the new outfits for the Whole Cake Island team, and I have to say that out of all of them, I think I like Carrot's outfit the most. She kind of looks like a handmaiden there. Chopper looks cool too. Sanji has the same top knot hairstyle do thing that Luffy and Zoro have, so that completes the hairdo for the monster trio, having the same style. And then Nami is just wearing a napkin. By the way, I hate to say this because it's probably going to make me sound like a pervert, but I did notice this aesthetic change, or maybe it's just me, but are Nami's breasts not as big as they used to be? I think they're being drawn a little bit more realistic in size, which is not a bad thing whatsoever. But anyway, we get introduced to Shinobu, and Sanji just has like a heartbreak moment here, because she definitely doesn't look like the type of kunoichi Sanji expected. Then again, Raizo, who's a ninja, also didn't look like the type of ninja we expected, so it kind of makes sense. And I don't know, maybe Shinobu will eventually train Otama, because Otama wants to become a kunoichi as well. And she says she's skilled at the art of bewitchment. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's supposed to be a gag, and she's under the impression that she can enchant people with her good looks. And we need to find 3 samurai, according to Kinemon. Their names are Kawamatsu, Denjiro, and Ashura Doji. We actually get to see Ashura Doji in this chapter. He just goes by another name called Shutenmaru. And Ashura Doji is the guy that we were told Odin defeated for control over Kuri in the previous chapter. So Odin defeated that guy, and it's obvious that that's Shutenmaru. If you look back to the previous chapter, it's the same silhouette, same type of hairstyle, pretty much everything is the same. Okay, and by the way, somebody sent me a Facebook message telling me that they thought that what Oda initially planned was that Shutenmaru or Ashura Doji's design was going to be Kaido's design, because we see somebody who looks very similar as a silhouette for when people were talking about the Yonko, but I guess that design ended up being just like a placeholder for Kaido, because as Oda developed Kaido's design further, he just decided to switch it. And I think this chapter makes it very, very clear that after Odin defeated Shutenmaru or Ashura Doji, he had a change of heart for the better. So I'm guessing that after Odin defeated him, he kind of saw the error of his ways and, decided to become like an Oden Kazuki sympathizer. But then, because since there's been no strong leadership in Wano for a long time, there's nobody that he can respect, it seems like Ashura Doji is sort of reverting back to his old ways of being a criminal. He has the goons steal the food that Luffy brought for the people of Okobore Town, and then he's also about to slice up that old praying lady. This chapter handled in-chapter build-up very, very well, because we see Jack again, and your mind kind of automatically goes like, whoa, it's Jack. We haven't seen him for a long time. What's going on with him? And he's riding this very weird shark alligator mutation that we've seen before, because there's so many toxins and chemicals nearby that it just produces these animals to be like mutated. But then just when you think that the chapter is going to end up with Jack, Oda's like, come now, don't be shy, bring me those brats. I'm not gonna lie, that small clash between Shutenmaru and Jack made Shutenmaru look really good, and also made Oden look good by consequence. I think it's a little bit too early to say whether or not he's Yonko Commander level, but he looked good, and Kinemon said that each of those 3 samurai that he named are worth 100 men each. And I don't know if I'm interpreting the panel where Shutenmaru slices Jack correctly, but it almost seems as if Shutenmaru actually broke one of Jack's scythes, because you kind of see it detached, and then later on in another panel, you see Jack fighting with what appears to be a broken scythe, a broken blade. So it's not like Jack didn't try to block the attack. He did, because Shutenmaru was running right at him. It's not like he caught him off guard or anything. It's just that he literally broke the blade, and he actually did some damage there. He made Jack bleed. I love how the sky starts swirling, and it starts changing color. At first I thought that was like Kaido's haki, because it reminded me of the Whitebeard and Shanks clash, where the sky starts like just thundering and becoming very, very dark and gray, and it's like that's like a Yonko haki clash, right? So I don't know if the weather conditions in this case have something to do with Kaido's King's haki partly being unleashed, or if it's part of his devil fruit. We know, for example, that somebody like Momonosuke, who also turns into a dragon, when he flies, he creates these clouds that he kind of walks on. So it's not like he's really flying, it's just he's walking on these clouds that he produces. By the way, I think it's a very cool thing that Momonosuke also turns into a dragon, because I think that once Kaido falls, Momonosuke will be the rightful ruler of Wano, and so it'll be him ruling as the benevolent ruling dragon of Wano. But the point that I was trying to make initially was that it doesn't seem like Kaido is using clouds to walk on. It just looks like he's straight up flying. By the way, if you look at that last page, you see a little panel of Momonosuke there. It almost makes it seem as if seeing Kaido triggered Momonosuke to transform into a dragon as well. I'm going to take this opportunity real quick to clear up a misconception that I've seen floating around recently that has to do with something that Pell said back in Alabasta when his Zoan devil fruit was revealed. So we know that Pell is a falcon essentially, but when he initially revealed that was his devil fruit, he said something along the lines of, including my devil fruit, there's only 5 devil fruits in total that can grant the user the ability to fly. Or at least that's what a lot of people understood that he said, because if you look at the context, that's not what he's saying. But a lot of people, the fandom kind of took this to mean, oh, there's only 5 devil fruits in the entire One Piece world that can allow you to fly, and that's just not the case. And we know that because there's more than 5 already. If you include Kaido in this, we also have Shiki. We also have some of the Tontada had like bug fruits that could allow them to fly. One was either a bee or a wasp, and then another Tontada had like a rhinoceros beetle devil fruit, and he could fly as well. We also have characters like Buffalo and Lafitte and Karasu and Marco who can fly. So if you add Kaido and Pell to that list, that totals way more than 5, right? So if you look carefully at what Pell says, if you look at the context of how he reveals his devil fruit, you'll notice that his fruit is called the Tori Tori no Mi model falcon. So he has the Tori Tori no Mi falcon model. Tori means bird, okay? So he has the bird fruit falcon model. And every time that Oda decides to include the word model after the name of a fruit, it just means it's a derivative. So for example, those tontaras that I talked about, it's the same, like the devil fruit is like the bug no mi or whatever, right? It's like the bug fruit. They just have like different models. One's a bee and one's a rhinoceros beetle. So in Pell's case, he has the falcon model. Marco would be the Tori no mi Phoenix model, right? And then I'm assuming maybe Lafitte has like the dove model or the pigeon model, depending on what that fruit actually is. And then maybe Karasu has like the crow model. But the point of the matter is that I'm pretty sure that Pell means that there's only 5 of the Tori no Mi. So there's only 5 bird Zoan types in all of One Piece. Not that there's just 5 devil fruits that grant the user the ability to fly, because that's already been disproven. Now here's the thing, all right? Kaido actually being a dragon, having a mythical Zoan devil fruit that allows him to transform into a dragon was actually a very, very common theory. Very common prediction. I talked about it at one point. So it was out there. It was out there. In fact, I would say it was probably the most predictable out of like the theories that I've seen concerning Kaido's power. But the thing here is that from a story standpoint, Kaido being a dragon actually makes a lot of things make sense. For example, it explains how he was able to get up on that cloud island where Uruj was healing and jump off of it, you know, how he was able to get that high up in the air. It also explains why Kinemon back in Punk Hazard had this massive grudge against this small baby dragon. They had already KO'd this dragon, like the dragon was literally on the floor, knocked out, and Kinemon kept kicking at him, just being super, super angry. And Brook's like, hey, like, what's the deal with you and dragons? Like, why are you so pissed? Did a dragon kill your family or something? And Kinemon answers, he says, well, that's actually not too far off from the truth. So this is how far in advance Oda had planned for Kaido being this devil fruit, being this creature. It also like explains why Big Mom tells Luffy, you will never ever defeat this thing, because he's not, I mean, he's an animal, but he's not really like, you know, a standard animal. He's like this mythological thing, this mythological creature. And speaking of that, like, I've seen some of the toys that they make, and some of the attention to detail on these toys is just incredible. So can you imagine like that Kaido dragon figure and what that's going to look like? The attention to detail in each of these scales. And by the way, this brings me to another point, okay? I think this is clearly just one of Kaido's forms. Because Zoans, if you remember, and I mean, Chopper is probably the best example of it, but Zoans have different forms. So I'm pretty sure that this is just like, maybe even Kaido's basic form. And according to myth, dragons are supposed to be like literally impenetrable because of their scales, like their coating. And we know that, like, you know, when the narrator was introducing Kaido, like the guillotine broke, the spear snapped. Now we have a better picture of what we're up against. And to be quite honest, right now, I don't know how they're going to land a hit on that thing. I really don't. And especially because I know for a fact that's only one of his forms. Kaido has to have a combat dragon form as well. I think that's a given. Zoans have hybrid forms, you know, a combination of their animal forms with their humanoid forms. So I can't wait to see that. I have no doubt that Kaido's devil fruit will eventually be revealed to be and be defined as the most powerful Zoan devil fruit. Now, if you look at the pattern, you know, Whitebeard had the strongest paramecia. Blackbeard, the darkness fruit, the Yami no Mi, is said to be the strongest Logia. I think, I made a video about this some time ago, but I think that since Blackbeard is searching for powerful devil fruits, that he's going to obtain this devil fruit near the end of the series, and this will be, this power will go to him. So imagine this dragon, but fatter. He can destroy the world if he wants to with those 3 broken fruits. That's gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As far as my rating for the chapter goes, say it with me. Say it with me. This was a Reverie level chapter. Samurai, time travel, Eastern dragons that are commanding mammoths. What else can you ask for? Thank you so much. Like the video if you did. I really appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel for more One Piece related content. And I'll catch you guys later. Tell me your thoughts. Thank you. Bye.